All right, buddy, we are live. So everyone, while we're waiting for people to come on, let's just chat about a few housekeeping items here, Gavi. So first and foremost, when you guys see this on YouTube, please take the time to hit subscribe to the channel down below and touch the bell for notifications. Next thing is, big thanks to our sponsor, two of them, Smirnoff Ice being the first. And secondly, for sure, big appreciation goes to readygogarb.ca. Now, we have a contest running right now, and in that contest, it is a $40 coupon code, and it's going to go September 30th. And the way we are awarding that contest, as you know, Gabi, we're doing the most thought-provoking or interesting question as voted on by me and you. Okay. And we have a bunch today that are pretty awesome, and I think we got a good start to the contest. And those contest questions are coming in through CanadianGangsters.com or CanadianGangsters@gmail.com. Sorry, don't make that mistake. But as well as that, we got a Patreon site. We don't talk about it a lot, but we're starting to promote it now. And we got our first member. So Brandon Irwin, big thanks to you for jumping in at Tier 1 on our Patreon site. So, we got some people tuning in. Eric, how's it going? Gabi, you got anything you want to touch on before we jump into our top 8 predictions, which we didn't even advertise, by the way, so we'll see who comes on here. And when the YouTube video goes live, of course, the thumbnail will indicate that what we're doing with our top 8, even though they might have the most unnavigable website and Facebook page that I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. Let's. We've got a lot of Q&A to deal with today, so I'm good.
All right, so right off the top, you want to touch on our top 8 predictions? And we do have a question that's related to the top 8. So if we're doing top 8 predictions, we can kind of roll that question in there as well. What do you think?
Yeah, roll that. Let's start with that question. It's a good starting point.
Well, that question is, and this is one of 3 questions that's been sent to us by our number 1 fan, the constant incel who just can't get laid. Question number 1 from him. In your opinion, what percentage of the men in the top 8 do you think are on some sort of illegal PEDs/steroids? So he's asking us to speculate on who is juicing in the top 8 or taking other kinds of things. Yeah, Gabi, you want to take this one away?
87.5%, which is 7 out of 8, are taking. One is, how about that?
87%. So if I were to pick anyone of that bunch that I would, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. It's better to say who's not then. So 7 out of 8.
Yeah, I got the American Tim Bresnan natural. I could be wrong, but that's my read on it. And I got all the Europeans or Asians juicing. How about that? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, with stuff like this. This is all speculative, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the guy from Kazakhstan is natural. Although it wouldn't surprise me if he's juicing. I believe he is juicing. I believe most at that high elite level are probably on something. If I had to bet, I'd bet Tim is the exception, based on his natural wrist strength and stuff like that. And I don't believe Tim has come out against drugs, so. And he's a fairly honest, straightforward dude, so I'd go on him being natural, the rest being users.
Well, the deal is, I mean, and by the way, Eric says, your mic is garbage right now, Gabi. Better with the buds, likely, he says. Yeah. But Gabi's having some technical difficulties. Mine seems to be working fine. I'd like, Eric, how does mine sound? While you're answering, I'll give my quick opinion on the old top 8 here, because I do believe that performance enhancement is a subject that is almost something we shouldn't get into very much, because everything enhances performance in some way. Supplements enhance performance. The food you eat enhances performance. Whether or not a guy is on something, I mean, at some point in your life, you have a choice to make whether you're going to jump into a professional class and do what it takes to be in that class, or you're going to stick to tested events. And that's why there is a line between the two. I can tell you that I've seen tested and non-tested events where the same competitor competes, and the difference in how they look and how strong they are is dramatic between those two events. So take that for what it's worth. And while we're on the subject, let's talk about the losers bracket first. Alex Kurdeka versus Dmitry Trubin. Thoughts on that match?
That's a good match. Trubin's been losing a little bit of steam and momentum over the last 2 years, but I think he's just a little bit too refined for Alex. Alex is still, I mean, he's raw, he's strong, but he still has some issues, and I think Trubin's hand and wrist probably might give him the advantage he needs over that one.
Yeah, watching Alex pull, he looks like a big, strong guy, but he looks like he is missing some very fundamentally basic things that are you wouldn't expect someone at that level to make those mistakes. And I'm going to say that Trubin takes that maybe in a sweep, 6-0.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're going with Trubin too.
I'm going to go with Trubin only because he's just more proven, more refined, and I think his game is more well-rounded. I think he will be able to exploit any weaknesses or any parts of Alex's game that Alex isn't completely hasn't tightened up on yet. So yeah, I'll go Trubin. I don't know, 6-0, 5-1, 4-2, who knows? But I can see Trubin definitely controlling that.
I think Trubin, for me, I think he's a little bit one-dimensional, if I'm being honest. And but I do think that he's just too strong, and he will take it 6-0. So next in the losers bracket, Babayev versus Bresnan. Now, what's the prediction here? Is there actually going to be a pin, or are we just going to see fouls all day long?
Yeah, long matches. Rustam's elbows are constantly on the front of his pad. Tim's will constantly be on the back of his pad. This is almost one matchup where, because you want to watch these guys both, you want wall rules. Almost with this one specifically, only so it prolongs the matches without so many stoppages. But last time they pulled it was a war. I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Tim. I think. Fuck. I don't know. I don't know if I was betting money if I would still go with Tim. Rustam's hard to bet against, but it's really with this. It's a real coin flip. Like it is. It can go either way. A slight edge towards Rustam if I'm being completely objective, a little bit towards Tim if I'm being a little bit more subjective. But this can easily go depending on the reffing, depending on the infractions that they make, the subtle infractions. I don't know, man. It's a 50-50.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with Babayev. I think he's going to win. It's not going to be crushing defeats here. I think it's going to be a close match, but I think it's going to end up probably 4-2 for Rustam again. I don't know. But 4-2 is the one I'm going to go with on that one. So Angrabayev versus Levan. 1 in 10 chance for Angrabayev, we said before. I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah, huge underdog going in against Levan. Anything could happen. You'd almost want to see this guy pull other people other than Levan because, I mean, this guy's a clear-cut favorite to win the whole tournament. I'd love to see him against Trubin, from a technical standpoint. But, yeah, the way it is, we got to go Levan 5-1, 6-0. Yeah, doesn't look good.
5-1, and the win is on fouls.
Yeah, very conceivable.
And I think that if Angrabayev wins the match, it takes the luster off the entire event. Like, it's easy to get behind a guy like Angrabayev, but going into a final against the winner between the next match, which to me is the most interesting match, is Prudnik versus Lalatin. I don't know. It would be a tough one to build for me. But on the next one, Gabi.
Yeah, I think this is the best matchup, and it's unfortunate we see it this because I think in terms of sheer arm wrestling, these are the two best arm wrestlers on the card. Highest upside, highest potential, highest ceiling. I wouldn't say balanced because although Prudnik is completely balanced and versatile, the Leighton is 100% lightning top roll. With Prudnik being much heavier, it's hard to call, but from everything we've seen, if I'm being objective, I go with the Leighton winning this. He's the only one in this whole class that I think can beat Levan conceivably, and most likely will be an underdog going up against him, but that's how I see that progressing.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to go in that match. Tell me what you think of this. Prudnik wins that match, and I think it's going to be 4-2.
Yeah.
Really? You agree with me on that?
Well, I don't agree. I have the Leighton winning the super match, but you understand that. How much have we seen Prudnik pull it at his current weight? We haven't. He's great at stopping pronation. He's got a boatload of stamina. So if he stops the Leighton being the lankier, longer guy on the table, if he stops him, as the clock ticks by, you've got to give him a huge advantage. So I can definitely see him winning. I'll pick the Leighton because I think he's just a bad motherfucker. He's taller. He's got wicked moves.
$20 on Prudnik.
Yeah, I'll go with that. $20 on the Leighton. Yeah, that's fair.
I just think he looks incredible lately. Like I know that's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever said on the show, but judging by just how thick the guy looks compared to what we're used to seeing out of him, man, he's putting in the work. So I think he's going to show up and he's going to shock some people.
It's almost like he's committed himself to being a player here. Like the weight gain, it's almost like, and when he lost previously, he rarely lost pound for pound. He usually lost against bigger guys. So you have to think now that I don't know, what does he weigh? He's got it way up where 230, 235. I don't know. He looks big. Maybe 240, but definitely compelling stuff. Wouldn't surprise me. The problem if he does advance and go against Levan, he's not top rolling Levan. So does he have the power? Does he have the torque at that weight to outlast or to overpower Levan over 6 rounds? The problem with Levan is kind of like RVJ. We tend not to get behind people that are godlike, or we just can't relate to people like that. They're so incredibly massive and strong that usually the average guy doesn't really relate. We relate to the underdog. We relate to the guy that's put on weight or trying to work hard or going through the motions over time. But this guy's going to be tough to beat. He seems like he has it all, and he's very big.
And Adam Wilmot says to you, when do you and I get to pull?
Man, I wish I would have made it to New York because we probably would have pulled. Well, I don't think. Well, we might have been in the same weight class because I wouldn't have made weight. I'd love to pull him. Left wouldn't be a good match. Right would be a very tough match for me. I'd love to pull him, but I think it's one of those cases where I'd blow by his left, he'd blow by my right. But I'd love to try it. He's a good guy. I'd love to try that.
Aaron Hickson says, "What's up, Gabi?" All right, man. Let's get in the Q&A because we have a lot of it to deal with. Do you want to fire away on the questions that you had coming first?
Well, I only had one message to me, and that was by Michigan's own Darren Bills. His question was, with PEDs today being as rampant as they are, being as popular as they are, how does that affect today's arm wrestler? At which age he peaks, or what age he starts to decline? Can that factor in? My initial answer after I thought about it was, of course. I mean, now we have guys being players upwards closer to 50. So what makes a puller fade out of his prime is obviously the lowering of his testosterone. So by replenishing that or mitigating its loss, you can extend years. How long, how far, we don't, it's tough to say, but it definitely extends our prime years by, or our peak years by anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 years. So definitely it plays a factor. But also bigger factors. Today's athlete has a much better access to nutrition tips, how to keep the body healthy, fit, all this stuff that they did maybe 20, 30 years ago. So it's a lot of things that play into it. Why guys can be as good as they are later on north of 40, but definitely it extends the it extends the years for sure.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that answer. I think it's a good answer. So back to our constant insult who just can't get laid. He's got a couple of questions here. The first one, is Todd Hutchings the best right arm, pound for pound arm wrestler in North America? So I was watching a podcast or listening to a podcast this morning, and it was Chael Sonnen's You're Welcome podcast, and they were talking about pound for pound fighters in the world and how the definition of the best pound for pound is the guy that can jump weight classes and still be dominant. So if you go by that criteria, Todd Hutchings is not the best pound for pound arm wrestler in the world. He would be, especially when you consider that he's 250 pounds now.
No.
So, no, I don't think he is. I don't know if I could offer you a replacement for him right off the top of my head. John Berzink, 5 years ago, easily. But Todd Hutchings, no, he's not the guy. He's not the best pound for pound arm wrestler in the world, in my opinion.
I think the question's North America, not the world.
Oh, well, okay, in North America. Let's say North America then. Even in North America, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. Todd Hutchings, without a doubt, is the best pound for pound puller in North America. Probably top 5 in the world. Top 6, top 5 in the world. He sits around at a bloated weight voluntarily so he can deal with the biggest guys. He can make 199. He can make 195. He was virtually untouchable. He won tons of hammers. The fact that he can control and target and go up and go down, and the fact that he's going against 320-pound guys and not losing because he lacks arm power. I mean,
but let me stop you there for a minute. To say that he can go up and go down, I would argue that hasn't been proven at all, because he's gone way up, and we haven't seen him try to go back down.
You're claiming he's 250. He's nowhere near 250 right now. I bet right now, if we bet, he's close to 208, 209.
I would love to see him. I would love to see him go back down and try to pull those guys after having to do that massive of a cut.
It's not that big of a cut. It was a cut. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big cut, but that's how. But he was super dominant at 195. Like, you can't blame the guy for wanting to cut.
True, but if you
the skills to cut.
Let me offer you this: you take a guy like Tony Kotowski, who is arguably the best in the lightweights in North America. Potentially could go up, and we saw him go up into the other class. He had some injuries, but he also had some success. A guy like that, and it's been mentioned, Adam Wilmot said Justin Bishop. I mean, in 2 weeks, we could be having a completely different discussion, because if Justin Bishop takes the hammer from RVJ, I think that's your clear answer.
Yeah. So Justin Bishop, we're talking at what, 185 weight class? Pound for pound, how dominant would he be at 185? Well, Craig Tullia can beat him, and Craig Tullia or conceivably beat him and come down to 185. So whenever we're talking about a guy, pound for pound, the best in North America, he probably doesn't have any. At his prime weight or his lowest weight, he probably doesn't have any competition or any strong competition. Tony's a good example too, but Tony sits around 180. Could Tony go up to 205 and touch RVJ? He can't. Not even close. He'd get blown away by RVJ. He'd get beat by Storm. Todd's going up, pulling guys 100 pounds heavier, and he's losing because of bullshit reffing and
with limited success. So he's still losing those matches. If he came up to that super heavyweight class and he was killing everybody, I would agree with you that he could be the pound for pound guy.
He destroyed Matt Mask. Got his wristband back and Matt Mask across the table.
I love Matt, but is Matt in the conversation for pound best, or is he in the top? Is he in the top 6 in the super heavyweight division?
Not even close. But is Matt Mask an elite super heavyweight puller?
That's unproven. Matt has not had much success at super heavyweight.
Oh man. Okay, well,
prove me wrong.
Matt weighs what? 245?
250 maybe at the most. Yeah.
Todd blew through him. Todd, with rigid rules, everything ref squarely, he beats Jerry. Okay, I'm gonna put that out right now. He beats Jerry, but he didn't beat Jerry. But for me, optically he beats Jerry. A 330-pound fucking power puller. I mean, you make compelling arguments, but my opinion doesn't fade only because of the end result, which is skewed by many variables. He's the best pound for pound puller in North America.